In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to color in your artwork using a monochromatic color scheme and oil pastels. So monochromatic means one color. So if you look at the color wheel, it's one hue off the color wheel. It could be a primary, a secondary, or a tertiary color, like yellow-green. And then black and white are not on the color wheel. All that they do is lighten or darken the value of the color, so those two are not considered colors. The only one here is my color, which is green. So a couple things with oil pastels. You don't want to color with them just like regular crayons. You want to really take advantage of the fact that you can blend them to create a lot of different values, and they create a really nice soft look. But sometimes they can get a little cruddy. So if you get an oil pastel that looks like this, grab a paper towel and just give it a little twist, and it should clean it right off. Okay, this one was pretty dirty. Okay, good as new. All right, so you can do that with any of your oil pastels. Occasionally I check them and do this while I'm working, but I definitely always check to make sure they're not dirty before I start. Now, one thing you want to think about, so I'm going to be doing this half of the painting using my oil pastels. You definitely want to think about what areas you want to be light and what areas you want to be dark, kind of like I have in this example here. We have a nice wide range of value. We have super, super light blues, all different medium values of blues, all the way to our super almost black blues, super dark almost black blues. And if you're having trouble doing that, if you worked off of a reference photo while you were drawing and saved it to your Google Docs, if you convert that reference photo into black and white, that's a really great way to see what values would be dark and what values would be light. So if you're having a little trouble understanding that, that's a great idea. And even if you drew some of it off the top of your head, you can always find maybe a similar reference photo, convert it into black and white, and kind of let that be a bit of a guide for you. So I'm going to show you how to blend and then also how to mix tints, shades, and tones. So if we take a look at, so a couple things. First of all, if you're using a color like a primary or a secondary color, you can just use the straight up oil pastel. If you are making a tertiary color like blue-green, you're going to want to mix those together, and then in addition to that, you're going to want to lighten and darken the value of it. So let's say I'm doing blue-green. Now if you're just doing green, you can take out the blending the blue part to make it easy. So I'm going to start out by finding kind of a medium value. I would say this is sort of a medium value in here. So I'm going to make kind of this part of the trees my medium value blue-green. Now another thing I want to recommend when you're doing this is don't just work on one area at a time. So I don't want to say, okay, I'm just going to do this tree. What I like to do to ensure that my values are balanced in my artwork is to do a value at a time. So right now I'm doing my medium value, but typically I like to tell my students to start with their lightest and darkest values first. With their lightest values first and gradually get darker as they go up. So right now I've laid kind of a medium, just kind of regular coloring down with my green, and then I'm going to go on top of that with the same amount of pressure, so I'm not pressing or coloring really hard, just kind of medium pressure, so medium value, medium pressure. And I am going to go over this. You can already kind of see it blending to a blue-green, but then the key there is to take your finger and blend it. Now, the edges are going to be kind of soft. Oil pastels are not a media that you want to use when you want to have crisp, sharp edges. Okay, the beauty of them is that they have a very soft look. So this media is really great for creating pieces that you want to be sort of soft and natural. It's also really nice for creating pieces that you want to look kind of rough and rigid and messy because they're not super clean, super tight media. So this would be my kind of medium value of blue-green. Now I'm going to show you how to mix some of the light values. So if you look in here where some of the light is hitting, or up here or anywhere like that, I would mix, I would start out by lightly, so very, very lightly, coloring my areas that I want to be blue-green. That light tint. So a tint is the color plus white. That's a vocab word. Okay. And then before I add white, I'm going to softly blend that with my finger. Then I'm going to go on top of it, super light with blue. Now another thing too is you'll notice in the pastel box, there's sometimes, like there's blue and then there's light blue, there's green and then there's light green, you know, there's red and pink. There's not a change in value for like the purple and the orange and the yellow, but if you pick a color that has multiple values, feel free to use those as well. So if I wanted to, I could actually use the light blue on this if I wanted to make it even lighter. That's up to you. Or you can just do it with the pastels and let them do the work for you. So I am blending this, and then I'm going to color over it, pressing pretty hard with my white to make sure that I get a really light value. Now, I've showed you medium and light. You can also have sort of a light medium value. If you refer to the value scale that I have on the 6th grade board, or I might have put it on your board at this point, you want to see, it's nice to have kind of a nice wide range of values. So this is my light value. So you can do something in between where maybe if you wanted to make it, you know, some of the values slightly darker, you can go back over it a little bit. Okay, so that's sort of a in between lightest light and medium. And now I'm going to show you the dark. Now be very careful with the dark, with the black oil pastel. It's very, very concentrated, and you really want to save your darkest values for last because they do tend to smudge. So if I look at the area with my tree branches, that's a very dark value. So I'm going to lightly color over my tree branches. Well, obviously I would do all my branches at this point with the black. And then I'm going to blend. Now I'm not blending left to right because I'm doing a small area, kind of blending in the direction that the tree branch would go. And then I color over it. So I can go over it with my green and then over it again with my blue. Oops. Okay, and now I'm blending in here. So this is how I would create my dark value. So I've done light, medium, and dark. So remember, that's how you mix the tertiary colors and in monochromatic, so light, medium, and dark in multiple values. If you would like to see how to create any textures, like, you know, textures of leaves or anything, I have another video that I will post below this that shows you how to do stippling techniques and blending two colors together and whatnot to get those textures as well.